Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Midwest Dairy's Understanding Growth Opportunities for Value-Added Milk webinar. I am Maureen Windish, and I'm Midwest Dairy's Senior Manager of Insights and Analytics. As you may know, Midwest Dairy partners with a wide variety of premier market research firms. Today's webinar will be led by myself and Mike Mancini from Mintel. Together, Mike and I have over 25 years of tracking consumer behavior in the food landscape and supporting partners like you in unlocking growth opportunities. Mike is an account manager with Mintel. After spending a decade in marketing, Mike joined the Mintel team in 2022 and oversees a wide range of clients within the dairy industry. Working alongside Mintel's team of category experts, Mike helps clients identify trends, innovation, and opportunities within the dairy industry. I invite you to ask questions through the Q&A feature, and we will address them at the end of the presentation. After the webinar, we will send you a link to the presentation as well as the recording. So we will go ahead and get started. For our agenda today, we will review milk retail sales trends, and specifically we will do a deeper dive into the value-added retail sales trends for the value-added category. We will also take a look at broader consumer perceptions around milk and alternative beverages, and we will also look at the purchase drivers of each. And then at the very end, we will make recommendations and cover off on any questions you may have. So as I mentioned, first we'll be looking at overall milk retail sales trends. This is in volume and it's in dollars. So you can see the chart that trends each of the years month by month. And most recently, our trends for 2023 were negative 2.5 versus a year ago. And on a dollar basis, they were also negative. Certainly, the economy has a lot to do with these negative trends. And more recently, the volume trend did turn negative, or did turn positive, I should say. For the latest 4 weeks, we did see in January an uptick of 1.7%. Likely that positive growth is coming off of a very negative number versus a year ago, and so we're comparing to a negative number, and it's a little bit easier to grow on top of that. So even though it looks like a bright spot, it likely is due to some very negative trends in the past. Looking at overall milk by channel, we can see grocery represents 55.3% of all of the sales, and that chart on the left-hand side showing the volume moving through grocery. All other outlets represent 38.9% of the movement for milk, and we do see that 5.1% moves through C-stores, and then the drugstores is a much smaller portion of overall sales. When you look at what's been contributing to either, in this case, declines, it is that grocery segment, that largest category that's been driving, or that largest channel that's been driving overall declines. We see a negative 5.1% decline in overall sales within the grocery channel. A bright spot would be those other channels, so club stores, dollars, supercenter, and military are growing, and in 2023 the growth rate was 3.3%. So we do see consumers shifting into other channels and continuing to do that for their milk purchases. Within the C-store environment, we did see a negative trend of almost 11% this last year, and even a more dramatic decline within the grocery outlet of almost 20%. When you look at the fat levels, we can see that whole milk actually has been a bright spot for milk. And in 2023, there was a growth rate of almost 1% within whole milk. And in the 4-week ending, it was actually a higher growth rate of 5.3%. Unfortunately, for the other fat levels, we do see declines. So the bright spot being that whole milk variety. And now we'll take a look at the value-added milk sales. And just to level set what we're talking about when we're speaking of value-added milk, We're talking about lactose-free and reduced products, organic, ultra-filtered milk, milk with extra nutrients such as DHA, and then pre and probiotic milks that must be cultured. So looking at this group in total, in terms of a share number and what it represents to the total milk category, it currently represents about 16.2% of all gallons that are sold within the all the channels that Circana is tracking. And that has been growing year over year. This next slide looks at the value-added milk category compared to alternatives. And we can see that the value-added milk category has grown year over year and is currently about 30% higher in terms of overall sales than the alternative beverages. This past year, value-added milks grew 1.7%. And that was, basically on top of generous growth in past years, except for last year, where it contracted 1%. And that largely is due likely to economics, but it's good to see that this category of milks is recovering. And actually, we'll take a look on the next slide what the monthly trends look like. And again, comparing that to the alternative beverages, where we see negative decline or negative numbers really for the last 3 years. As I mentioned, we would take a look at the monthly sales, and you can see for value-added milk, there's basically positive trends for all of the last 52 weeks, looking back, since January. And we're seeing, that compared to the plant-based products, where we see negative trends throughout the year. So looking in more detail, what's behind each of these different product types that are within the value-added milk segment. So these are not mutually exclusive groups. So looking across these numbers, we cannot add them up because they are not mutually exclusive. You can have something that's lactose-free and reduced and also organic. But just trying to get a sense for each of these segments, what they represent in terms of the total. So lactose-free and reduced is the largest grouping of products. And then we also are showing the growth rate associated with each one of these breakouts. So last year, for this data ending in February, actually, the grouping of lactose-free and reduced grew 8.1% on top of 3.5% in the prior year, and generous growth rates in the prior 2 years. So we do see a lot of growth opportunity for lactose-free and reduced. Not likely to slow down, even despite higher price points associated with this group of products. On the other hand, we did see a dip with the organic products. Moving on to the protein, another area of opportunity. So being able to tout benefits of protein on these products is key. We can see generous growth rates across each one of these years, especially right out of the gate. This product category seems to have a lot of legs and would be a great area of focus, being able to tout added protein. Ultra-filtered products also growing generously over the last 4 years. Of course, we did see a little bit of a, maybe the growth rate wasn't as generous this past year, or the year before last, I should say, likely due to economic situations. Brewing with consumers in terms of inflation, but that product is growing generously in this past year, 12.2%. The omega type, it was really strong coming out of the gate, and we've noticed more recently negative trends on those products. Kind of a similar trend with the A2. We saw generous growth rates for 3 years, and then more recently a dip. With the pre and probiotic type, we're seeing generous growth rates in this last year, although in the prior 3 years, there were declines. So a little bit of bounciness in that product. So these are, for the most part, a lot of growth. within this segment, and there are definitely areas of opportunity with those lactose-free products, protein, ultra-filtered, and more recently, that pre and probiotic type. When we look at the plant-based alternative types, obviously there are a lot of products here. Some are emerging and some are more established. Within this group, for this last year, as I mentioned before, in total, alternative beverages were down 6.2%. And those declines are primarily driven by the almond beverage type, which really has seen pretty steep declines over the last 3 years. The one area of growth that has been consistent has been that oat beverage type, but even that type is slowing down in its growth, as the growth rate is only 1% this past year. Coconut beverage, I should say, moving back to the soy beverage. So soy beverage, another large segment here, also declined in the last 3 years. Coconut beverage did have an uptick with this past year of 21% growth. Pea beverage, flat more recently, even though they had growth in the prior years. And then cashew beverage has been down consistently. Rice beverage down very dramatically in the past few years. So these products definitely are taking a hit, might be due to economics, but we think there's something deeper going on here. And in the next section here, I will pass it over to Mike, and he will talk about the consumer perceptions and some of the attitudes that are driving these trends.
Yes, absolutely. All right, thanks, Maureen. Maureen, are you able to hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
All right, cool. So excited to dig in here. Keep in mind, if anyone has any questions, feel free to just jot them down in the chat. We'll go back towards the end. Anything I can't answer today, happy to follow up on via email afterwards. So for this next slide, the retail sales and forecast of dairy milk slide. So overall, as we look into the future, the growth of dairy milk remains largely stagnant as it faces a growing threat in the demand for plant-based options, but it's still growing with projected growth of 5.2% from 2023 to 2028. So there is good news there. If we go to the next slide, what we're going to do here is take a quick pulse check on where we are now and where we're going to be. So right now, even though more people are drinking non-dairy beverages, dairy milk is making a comeback because it tastes good and feels like a reliable choice. So especially with inflation driving prices up in both dairy and non-dairy beverages, dairy milk is nutritious. It can be used in many ways, so consumers are showing signs of starting to prefer it again. However, non-dairy beverage is continuing to improve through innovation, giving people more options and making the category more interesting to some. Next up, in 2024 to 2025, so as prices even out, dairy milk will face competition from new plant-based options. But by emphasizing its unique benefits and uses, dairy milk can stay a staple in homes. On the other hand, as prices drop, more people will try different plant-based beverages and use them in different ways to suit their preferences. With creative new options in ingredients, types, and flavors, the non-dairy beverage market will keep growing and stay exciting for consumers. But looking even further into the future, from 2026 to 2028, Mintel predicts that dairy milk will face challenges due to the improving quality of non-dairy alternatives in taste, texture, and nutrition. However, dairy brands focusing on sustainability and health benefits are expected to grow. So non-dairy beverage growth might slow down as innovation decreases, but the increasing interest in healthy and sustainable living will make plant-based beverages more common in households. The brands that stand out with unique sustainability, taste, and nutrition qualities will be the most successful here. And if we go to the next slide here, here is what you need to know. So different kinds of milk are popular because they meet different people's needs. People like both dairy and non-dairy beverage for various reasons and are using them in new ways. So people kind of appreciate that they can choose milks that fit their diets and preferences and use cases. We should be encouraging more ways to use milk and reach more people. Just making milk better isn't always enough to get more people to use it. We need to show new ways to use milk to get more people interested. So creating milk products that are easy to take with you and promoting milk for skincare can make it more valuable for busy people. And people care a lot about about the price when they buy milk. So even though milk is something many people always buy, they're paying more attention to how much it costs, and they might choose cheaper brands because of that. So prices going up because of things like climate change and higher production costs does make people think more about how they buy their milk. And then on the next slide here, so inflation makes people like dairy milk again. When times are tough, people like simple foods and drinks. So dairy milk taste and value are especially appealing there. So more people are choosing it again. But as food prices go up, people are looking for cheaper options, and about 30% of them choose dairy milk because they think it's good value, and this keeps demand strong. But when inflation gets better, dairy and non-dairy brands can adapt to how people are eating and drinking. So claims like being healthy and good for the environment will become even more important for both kinds of milk, especially as prices go back to normal. I'm going to dive into talking about younger generations here. So younger people buy a lot of both dairy and non-dairy beverages. Younger folks don't stick to one type of milk. They buy both about the same amount. Their choices are influenced by things like how the milk tastes and their diet preferences and whether they think a particular product is good for the planet. But because they switch between milks a lot, it's important for brands to make sure their milk tastes good and feel familiar and are overall a good deal and are healthy. So plant-based beverages are getting more creative. You're going to hear a lot about plant-based beverage innovation, but people are getting tired of too many choices. So while more people are accepting and finding plant-based beverages, too many new types can be overwhelming. It confuses people about which ones are good for them and the planet. And the old favorites like almond and oat milk are still the most popular because they're versatile and familiar to people who want to save money. But if brands want to introduce new kinds of plant-based beverages, they need to explain clearly what they are and why people should try them. So younger people, Gen Z, millennials, they really like their plant-based beverages. These younger consumers believe that plant-based beverages meet their needs for health, saving the planet, fitting their lifestyles. So these tend to be important purchasing factors for younger generations. Other things that younger generations care about include, on the next slide here, these are, so health. More than half of millennials want their food and drinks to make them feel good mentally and physically. Trying new things. Over half of teenagers like trying out new food and drinks. And then sustainability. A quarter of young adults are eating less dairy to help the environment. So these are very, very important to the younger generations. So dairy milk brands are popular among Gen Z. These brands focus their marketing on things that are important to Gen Z. So taking care of the environment, treating animals well, trying new things. These are things that all of these brands are emphasizing. On top of that, older, well-known brands are also trusted because they're familiar and reliable, which is comforting in a world with so many choices. And brands are always coming up with new flavors, packaging, and types of milk that appeal to Gen Z's love of trying new things and having unique experiences. So this encourages them to explore and try different kinds of milk. Milk brands are getting younger people involved by supporting causes they care about. Nearly 70% of young adults are willing to switch to a company that stands for something that they believe in. So this slide represents people like having choices. So they buy both dairy and non-dairy beverage. In the US, people buy both kinds of milk for different reasons. 43% say their household has different preferences. 42% say they use different milk for different reasons. So, for example, some options are better for cooking. Others mix better with cereal. Others you can use with a face mask, etc. And then on the next slide here, so consumers are finding value in both dairy and, oh, there we go. Consumers are finding value in both dairy and non-dairy beverage. Even though a non-dairy beverage is becoming more popular and easier to find, dairy milk is still a common choice for people and doesn't seem like it's going away anytime soon. So parents buy both dairy and non-dairy beverage and aren't tied to one type. This creates a great chance for brands to stand out by showing what makes each kind of milk special and defining things like how milk tastes, its nutrition, how easy it is to use. It helps target different groups of people, makes dairy and non-dairy beverage different from each other. So parents buy both dairy and non-dairy beverage to meet their household's different preferences. In households, preferences vary with 54% of parents buying both types of milk. In larger households with 3 or more kids under 18, this number goes up to almost 60%. So going back to inflation here, in times of inflation, people value milk for its familiar taste and versatility. When money is tight, consumers prefer buying things that they know they'll use and enjoy. And dairy milk is seen as a reliable choice, suitable for drinking alone or in recipes, unlike non-dairy alternatives. So despite the growth of non-dairy beverages, some people are going back to dairy milk because they worry about the many ingredients and processes involved in non-dairy options. So focusing on natural ingredients and simplicity will keep the milk category strong. So younger consumers are drawn to dairy for its blend of value and health benefits. When shopping on a budget, they prioritize dairy for its nutritional advantages at an affordable price. So for shoppers on tight budgets, dairy milk is a practical choice. Many budget conscious consumers will prioritize budgeting for groceries, with 39% doing so most of the time. They'll value versatility, with 48% seeing the ability to use a food or drink in various recipes as beneficial. And then recognizing health benefits, with 49% agreeing that a food or drink with health advantages is valuable. So non-dairy beverage lacks strong reasons for purchase. This gives brands a chance to stand out as a unique category. While dairy milk is versatile, non-dairy options are mainly limited to coffee and smoothies. However, with consumers seeking personalization, non-dairy beverages offer a wider range of flavors, textures, and nutrition, aligning with diverse lifestyle preferences. Brands can differentiate themselves from dairy by highlighting the unique benefits of non-dairy beverage. You'll see a lot of that. And then Gen Z and millennials, they prefer non-dairy beverages primarily for taste. Despite plant-based brands emphasizing nutrition in their marketing, these younger consumer groups prioritize taste over other factors. And then in the sea of milk options, the key for brands is to shine through with distinctive health and sustainability features. So beyond similar nutrition, brands must captivate consumers with inventive packaging, tantalizing flavors, clever marketing. Catering to diverse diets with lactose-free and low-sugar options is crucial. Yet it's not just about the product. Brands have to embrace ethical and sustainable practices. By embracing change and meeting evolving consumer needs, milk brands can emerge as compelling choices and entice consumers to make the leap. So for parents, the primary motivators for increasing dairy purchases revolve around added health benefits, including higher protein content, lower sugar, functional advantages. Although cost is always a consideration, parents prioritize nutrition benefits, which can outweigh concerns about the price. So brands have a significant opportunity to ease parenting by emphasizing the benefits of dairy milk for children through clear messaging. So Horizon Milk's Growing Years line, developed in collaboration with pediatricians and featuring DHA omega-3 for brain and eye health, prebiotics, and choline, exemplifies the kind of approach for really emphasizing the health benefits for parents. So by making these benefits more apparent, milk brands can drive greater purchases and better meet the needs of parents and children alike. So brands must prioritize clear communication through marketing and on-pack messaging to educate these consumers on how their products support both their children's physical and mental health. Then in the response to the growing demand for functional benefits among Gen Z and millennials, milk brands can differentiate themselves by offering an extra boost of nutrients tailored to contribute to, again, mental and physical health. So as environmental awareness grows, eco-friendly claims become more prominent in dairy milk marketing, with a record high of 73% of all milk launches in 2023. So dairy milk brands are increasingly incorporating these ethical and environmental claims into their launches, reflecting a growing emphasis on sustainability and responsible production. From 2018 to 2023, animal-friendly claims are up 86%, environmentally friendly claims are up 65%, and organic claims are up 49%. So as food prices remain high, consumers are reconsidering their purchases due to budget constraints. So with 83% expressing concern about rising prices, some individuals are turning back to traditional dairy milk as plant-based beverage becomes more expensive. So while initially motivated by factors like sustainability and curiosity, the appeal of non-dairy beverage lacks a clear advantage. Financially constrained consumers are temporarily shifting to versatile dairy milk for cost-saving reasons. However, ongoing innovation and expected lower prices in the plant-based beverage market are likely to revive that consumer interest in non-dairy options in the future. So both dairy milk and non-dairy beverage brands are facing challenges in showcasing their sustainability efforts. The dairy industry is criticized for its high greenhouse gas emissions and environmental degradation, while plant-based beverages have their own environmental concerns, such as significant water usage for almond growth or harm to soil health, and biodiversity with coconut production. Surprisingly, only 14% of non-dairy beverage consumers choose plant-based options for environmental reasons, indicating that neither dairy nor non-dairy beverage brands are effectively claiming sustainability as their own. So dairy milk is regaining popularity due to its favorable taste, nutritional profile, and affordability. This resurgence is attributed to its alignment with evolving consumer preferences, particularly regarding the nutrition and value factors. Despite the growing popularity of non-dairy alternatives, the enduring appeal of dairy milk persists as consumers continue to appreciate the unique attributes of both categories. And coming back to Fairlife here, so the Coca-Cola company is making strides in the specialty dairy milk market with brand Fairlife. Fairlife, it's known for its lactose-free formula, has seen significant growth of 12% with its ultra-filtered options. Its on-packaging claims highlight 50% more protein, 50% less sugar, and hormone-free production. So consumers increasingly prioritize health when making purchase decisions, with nutrient density outweighing the higher cost of the product. So over 50% of consumers in both healthy and okay financial situations view additional health benefits as adding value to their purchases. All right, so some key takeaways here. Number one, people want good deals when they buy groceries. So when prices go up, people look for value, and that's where dairy milk shines. Its simple goodness makes people, especially younger ones, go back to it because they know and they trust it. Number two, milk fits people's lifestyles. So whether it's dairy or non-dairy, the milk people choose reflects their values. Brands have a chance to team up with consumers on things that matter to them, like health or saving the planet. And people want to know how milk can help them live better. And then the third one, people buy both dairy and non-dairy beverage for different reasons. So people like both kinds of milk because each has, something special to offer. They're looking for things like health benefits, being kind to the planet, great taste, being allergen free. This means more people are buying both kinds instead of just picking one. So lastly, we'll have some recommendations here. Overall, milk can do more than you think. Even though people already know milk is versatile, there are still more ways we can use it. So by showing how milk can be used in things like face masks or savory recipes, we can help people see its potential, even when they're worried about it going bad or costing more. Show the differences between milk and non-dairy beverages. Instead of saying one is better than the other, we should focus on what makes each kind of milk special. By highlighting what makes them unique, both dairy and non-dairy beverages can be popular choices and meet different people's preferences, and attracting new customers with special features. We can make milk and non-dairy beverage seem special to different groups of people. So for parents, we can offer milk that helps kids grow strong. Athletes might like milk that helps them do better in sports and come in easy to carry packages. And for people who love making coffee at home, we can offer non-dairy beverage that froth up nicely. And with that, I hand it back over to Maureen, see if anybody has any questions.
I did notice a question in the chat. A question around coconut milks growing more recently. I don't have an answer to that question, unfortunately. We don't spend a lot of time digging into coconut milk specifically. So, I guess I would say there is a chance there's something going on with social media in terms of recipes, potentially adding a boost to that product line. I don't know, Mike, do you have any insights? Have you heard anything going on social media wise?
You know,
the
like
alternatives?
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. You might see a coconut flare up every now and then with social media. It's going to burst on the scene, might die out. I know that in this particular milk report, there was not too much info on coconut, so not foreseeing anything, exploding onto the scene. But it's something that I'm happy to look into and see what we know about coconut milk. Who knows? Maybe there is a coconut milk come up right around the corner in 2024. Happy to look into it though.
Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you for your time. Wanted to let you know that, again, my name is Maureen Windish, and here's my contact information. If you'd like to reach out to Mike directly, you're free to do that as well. And here's his contact information. As I mentioned, this presentation will be posted to Midwest Dairy website, probably within the next 24 hours, as well as the recording. And we'd also like to ask you to answer a survey at the very end here, just a couple minutes of your time, to get feedback on how we did and any other topics you would like to have addressed in the future. So thanks again, and really appreciate your time. Have a great day.